Welcome to Investors Insights. Our topic is market madness behind us. We thought that was very appropriate with a question mark after it, considering that tonight we will find out who becomes the NCAA March Madness champion. And with that, we want to talk to you about your portfolio and the market madness we've had in the first quarter and data that we think is important for the second quarter of 2022. I'm joined by my distinguished colleagues, Ty Miller, Bobby Norman, and Trey Booth. We've had a very productive meeting this morning, and I think you'll find this information very invaluable to you. So Trey, people are constantly talking about the market madness, the volatility, the news, and simultaneously, we also are hearing about gas pump prices. We're also hearing about the jobs data. And so talk about that for a minute, because as jobs and earnings improve, that makes a difference in regards to the markets and the economy.
Yeah, absolutely, Greg. It's definitely been a wild first quarter. We've been talking over the last 3 months on this vlog of all the early indicators of potential economic slowdown. There's been spike in oil prices like we've never seen. There's been actually the yield curve inverted and an aggressive Fed are all things that the media and we here have talked about are concerning. However, when it comes down to it, it's very hard for the economy to dip into a recession or slow down in any extreme way when we are adding jobs. And last month, in the month of March, we added 431,000 jobs month over month. That's a phenomenal number. If you look at this chart here, we're nearly back to where we were pre-COVID. So if you compare March of 2022 versus February of 2020, we're only 1.57 million jobs shy. So that's twofold. One, that's showing we've made massive improvements, but it also shows that there's still room to run. This economy hasn't necessarily overheated. We still have more jobs to add. And the area where there's been most weakness, leisure and hospitality, traditionally also has the quickest lag time between rehire, between openings and rehirings. So there should be a lot of jobs out there that can be filled once we just need people to want to go to work. There's an estimate of 11 million job openings and roughly 6 million people unemployed. So there's almost 2-to-1 job openings to people unemployed. And so this, as long as the labor market stays this tight and this strong with year over year earnings up 5.6%, there may be a lot of leading indicators, market concern, but it's hard to see how we dip into recession when people are working and getting paid to work and saving and staying employed. So that's very strong news going into the second quarter to see that we need to see this strength continue, but it's very good to see it coming into the second quarter.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would be surprised. We're almost back to February 2020 numbers. I thought that was very insightful and gives us a great look into what this second quarter could hold for us as companies continue to hire. And Bobby, it takes revenues and earnings to hire. And you talked about that today, coming off the March 14th low of this year, and then earnings showing a lot of strength. So talk about that.
Yeah, so stocks have rallied back nicely over the past couple of weeks. S&P 500 is up more than 10% from the March 14th low. And while some suggest that the market is sniffing out a potential compromise to end Russia's invasion of Ukraine, that's certainly possible. But in our opinion, that's not the whole story. And in our opinion, that corporate profits may be another element of the bulls' thinking and driving the latest rebound here. And so not only are U.S. earnings estimates holding up in the face of war overseas and the highest inflation in 40 years, but also, as you can see in this chart, analyst estimates for the S&P 500 index earnings per share over the next 4 quarters are actually up in March. And so the U.S. stands out globally with its favorable earnings outlook. And right now, the U.S. profit outlook is really the envy of the world right now. And this is important. The important point here, this is particularly a good place to be as companies close the books on first quarter and first quarter earnings season approaches. So it is why, and this is the most important piece here, this is why our investment strategies are heavily weighted towards U.S. equities. It's the best place to be right now.
In the vlog last week, we talked about a bull market climbs a wall of worry. If this truly is a bull market, there's a lot of worry out there, but the strength you just talked about, the strength that Trey has spoken about, starts to indicate that this market can climb that wall of worry, which ties into March March Madness and Market Madness. People go, you got to be kidding me. Market's still going up. And we've got this kind of news out there. And then Ty, gasoline prices, tax cuts. What a combination you brought up in the meeting. So talk about that as we get ready to go into all the spring breaks and summer months of travel. Give them a glimpse into what we see happening there.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Speaking of a wall of worry, we've seen a lot of worry coming to gas prices. And last week, President Biden talked about the drawing down 1 million barrels a day from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. If he does that for the 180 days that he mentioned, that's going to be a 30% drawdown of our reserves, which would bring us near record lows. So those will eventually have to be replenished. However, one thing that we've seen to kind of counteract gas prices, along with tapping into our reserves, has been states. Individual states are starting to implement some tax cuts. We've seen Maryland and Georgia, as you can see in this chart, they implemented a tax cut. And at first, a lot of people were worried that, is this really going to pass through to the consumer? Well, as you can see, it did very well. Connecticut goes into effect. They went into effect on Friday. And now there's even talk from both sides of the political parties that maybe we should implement a federal gas tax cut just for the remainder of the year and see what happens. So, there are some things on the table to hopefully get gas prices down in time for people to travel and spend some of that money.
I think that's fantastic. That would help a lot of industries in a lot of ways, as with shipping and transportation, as well as the consumer going on trips, spending more money. We've talked about leisure and entertainment, people going places, doing things that would help tremendously. And we've also on this vlog talked about that states right now are in excellent financial condition. They're in far better condition than they were just a few years ago. So it's great to see them taking a positive role in talking about tax cuts in a whole different way. Folks, these are ideas we want to bring to you on a regular basis. We do that through these vlogs. We also do it through our social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. We have our podcast that we also bring these ideas. We just want to continue keeping you updated in relation to your portfolio, your financial blueprint, so that you're not dependent just on the emotional news headlines of the day. We're going to continue talking. Cannot believe that we're getting ready to see tax season wind up here shortly, that we finished the first quarter of 2022. But a lot of positive things going on, despite what you're seeing on your phone as you track the news, as well as if you're watching on the television or on your computer. Don't hesitate to call us with questions. We love them. We appreciate the emails, and we're going to keep you updated on the market madness. Take care. Have a great week.